Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, a.k.a. PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative Podcast. This is the podcast where we have digital discussions, the worlds of pop culture, social media, TV, film, sports, everything really. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis, and on Twitter, I go as PD Beats. Season 6 of Orange is the New Black was recently dropped on Netflix, and we are speaking to an actor who you might recognize from Season 6 of Orange is the New Black. He plays Herrmann. We're with Jason Altman. Jason, welcome to Popternative.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. So, for people that are starting to watch Orange is the New Black Season 6 or have watched it, talk a little bit about your character and give us a little bit, without too many spoilers, give us a little brief kind of introduction of Herrmann.
Sure. So Herrmann first appears in the Season 5 finale, which is basically, this is probably not a spoiler because it was over a year ago, but it was the ending of the Litchfield minimum security prison riot, and he comes in and he's the leader of these stormtroopers, the technical team. I believe it's correctional emergency response team, and he's the leader of these guys, and he comes in with an army of guys into the prison and sweeps it out, clears it out, and really takes back the prison from the women, and also gets a gist of what's going on in the prison, and takes care of business, so to speak. But during the whole episode, two guards are killed, and that's not a spoiler because this is old news. But one of them is killed by the prisoners, and the other one is the big bad of season 4 and 5. Desi Piscatella, played by the actor Brad William Henke. And he is killed by accident by my team, by getting shot in the head by pepper bullets. So that's where you first see my character. And then you'll be able to see Herrmann throughout season 6, basically with the storyline of what is the aftermath of the riot and the consequences of what has happened.
And we mentioned it before we started. I mean, Herrmann, he's not a nice guy. He's not a good person.
You don't want to be involved with this guy. There's nothing trustworthy about him. There's no good qualities, no morals to this guy. The only thing that he's looking out for is himself. Mm-hmm. He's just unlikable guy. He's not, like, if you cross paths with him at a bar and meet him, you just know there's shadiness to him.
Mm-hmm. Were you familiar with that type of role, that kind of antagonist? Like, have you played someone similar or had to prepare for a role like that, or was that a completely different challenge for you?
Well, I don't go in judging any character that I play. I really think that to get to the truth of any character and to help any storyline, that you just go in and you have to think about, prior to when you're shooting, you have to think about what drives this character, and what is his goals, and what is he trying to achieve, and what is he going to do to get that. And if you leave the judgment at the door of the difference between you in real life and that character, I think that you'll have success as an actor as far as using actions and going after your objective.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. One of my favorite things about Orange is the New Black is, and it's one of the reasons why it's one of my favorite shows, is I love shows with big casts, ensemble casts, a lot of characters, a lot of storylines, and this show doesn't disappoint in terms of that. So what I want to know is, talk a little bit about the bonding, because you see it a lot with a lot of the COs, but a lot of the cast members. It just seemed like it was a good time shooting the whole season. It just seemed like a lot of people got along. Talk about that dynamic.
My days on set, I didn't have many. It's funny because like I would shoot like 2 scenes per time I was on set in just one full long day. However, when I was on set, you would get the sense of family on set there. They've been together for 6 years now. I was a huge fan of the show going into it, so being able to meet some of the actors and dive into that world was just a thrill for me. But overall, it was just a very professional, well-oiled machine, and they were all very friendly and welcoming, and you could tell they had such a sense of camaraderie on set that I hadn't seen before on other sets.
No, for sure. Whether you're an actor, a writer, a director, I like to categorize those people as storytellers. You guys are storytellers. You're telling a story. What is your favorite thing about being a storyteller, Jason?
I would say that it really, first of all, I mean, it affects people in different ways, the story that you're telling. So you could change a person's life by certain storylines, certain stories that you're telling. Especially with Orange is the New Black, they touch upon subjects like gender equality and the corruption of the justice system, race, religion, friendship ties. I think that it really, there's a sense of teaching in storytelling. There's a sense of getting to know oneself by watching a story. But as far as being the storyteller, I think it's that feeling you get when you're helping someone, but it's also that thrill of performing and that natural high that you get of being able to affect an audience.
No, that's a very good point. One scene in particular that your character had that I think is gonna be known, like your character is gonna be known for many scenes, but there was one scene in particular where it was a physical confrontation with Caputo, which was that was a very stimulating scene. Was it hard? Like, was that scene hard to prepare for? Did you have to take many takes? I'm just curious from my personal perspective. Like, what was that like doing that scene?
Well, the preparation for the scene, I think, was interesting as an actor because I'm coming from this huge spoiler alert for anyone that hasn't seen the finale yet of season 6, but there was a huge preparation in how I felt about what was happening in the court with Tasty. For Herrmann, he was very satisfied that somebody went down for his crime, for his cover-up. Now, as far as the fight in the stairwell, it was very hot in there. I had layers on, I had a sweater and a winter coat. And Nick Sandow had worked with him in episode 10, also in the scene with the coffee shop. He was such a giving and nice guy, great actor to work with. And the fact that he was the director helped tremendously with the fight scene. But the choreography, it took a while to get that going. I would say that it took a good 3 or 4 hours of dripping sweat in that hot stairwell and doing the choreography for the fight scene. It was difficult, but apparently I spoke to Nick at the premiere, and he said that editing it was much easier than choreographing it.
No,
but yeah, it was interesting, and it was the first time I ever had that type of challenge, I would say.
Yeah, no, that was one of my favorite scenes because the emotion and from both sides, you know what I mean? An outcome was reached and just both sides, your character and Caputo, there was just so much emotion on both sides. So I think that's what makes a good scene when you have two different perspectives and then boom, you know what I mean? So there was that. What do you kind of think about the digital media aspect of how we are watching content. And Orange is the New Black is a show that is on Netflix, which is a streaming website. It's not on cable television. It's on. What do you think as an actor about the shift? Because it's been there for a while, but I always like actually directly asking people what they think about it, because it has changed the industry completely. So I was just wondering if you had some specific things that you've noticed that maybe other people haven't noticed about the transition of to digital media.
I think it's phenomenal. I think that what's amazing about it is that Netflix and all the other streaming services, it has a worldwide reach. I mean, the reach, it's crazy if you think about it. To 10 years ago, when everything was, you had to put a disc in your DVD player, or even 20 years ago when you had to put a VHS tape into your VCR. It's really phenomenal, and I can't imagine what it's going to be like 10 years from now, like with virtual reality and the way the exponential growth of technology. I mean, it's really amazing. And as far as being an actor, the opportunities, not saying it's getting easier to be an actor, but the opportunities because of the content that's being made. There are like 1,000 scripted shows in the world right now. I think there's like over 400 in the United States alone. Mm-hmm. So I think that there's only positive things you could take out of it, and I think that I don't want to say it unites the world, but it is something that is a worldwide phenomenon, I guess you could say, in a way.
Some past guests in the past have mentioned, like you, that it's great. There's more opportunities out there, but they've mentioned kind of the double-edged sword aspect of things too, where it does create a little bit more saturation depending on how you look at it, or it does create more competition between people. Do you see that perspective a little bit as well?
I think that the competition to be an actor or even a singer or dancer, any type of artist has always been nearly, it's an improbable task. Just if you look at the numbers game, you have to consider luck in it. I don't see how more content could create a harder chance, but it's still, no matter what comes up, a role is still 1 in 1,000 chance, pretty much. To get an audition is 1 in 1,000, and 10 in 1,000. Then to get a part is 1 in 10 at the minimum. Mm-hmm. So no matter how good you are, it doesn't matter, because there's so many factors about succeeding and getting a role. Like, it has nothing to do with talent sometimes. Like, you could be too tall, you could be too short. They could be looking for a Hispanic person or an African American or a Caucasian or someone that speaks a different language, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm. When I started Popternative in 2015, I kind of, I came from a sports background, so it started off me talking to people behind the scenes that work in sports, digital media, social media for different sporting events, and then I got more into pop culture and other sports, not just hockey, what I started. So when I started the show, I wanted to make it that it was a learning experience for people watching it, like they can learn something. Like all my guests, will have the opportunity to kind of share some nuggets of wisdom about the field that they're in. So for up and coming actors who are or actresses who are watching this episode, is there some stuff from your experience that you can kind of share in terms of advice about kind of getting into the industry, Jason?
Yes, definitely. I would say 2 things. I would say get to know the business part of it and know that it's not about you when you don't get a part. I think that for me, when I started, I had I was a 20-year-old kid who thought he would just have a breeze getting into shows and become a movie star overnight, type of thing. I thought when I was 20, I thought by 25 I'd be like I was an entourage, but I would recommend, I think that's something that changed for me personally, and I would recommend to any actor getting started is to get really solid technique and training. I think that things really changed for me. I spent 3 years studying the Meisner technique, and things like the work that I did, the feedback that I got, everything changed for the better. I think that really study your craft and get better and better and more confident in yourself and become a better actor, because you give yourself a better shot. If you're up against 10 other people for a good scene in a great show, you've got to be top notch. And I think that going in without any confidence or knowing what you're really doing and what you really want in the scene, I think 100% study, keep getting better at what you do, and commit yourself. Don't just think like, I'm here and I deserve to get the part. I think that 100% learn the business, learn your craft, and continue to get better and have confidence going in, and hope for the best. That's really what you can.
Learning the business part, I like that a lot. If you don't get a part, some people might take it like personally, but it's just how it goes, basically.
Yep. Like, I used to take it personally, and then I would realize that I would just go into an audition, do my best, and be like, listen, I have a 10% chance of getting this. Maybe I'll get lucky. Hopefully I did a great job, and that increases my chances down to 1 in 5, because the other, 5 people might not have done a great job. But I learned, luckily I got a behind the scenes tidbit fact that 80 people auditioned for the 5 cert roles that I auditioned for in the season finale of season 5. So luckily I caught their eye and they thought I was great. But I think that overall I had a little bit of timing and luck on my side. But you just gotta be you gotta keep perfecting your craft, and not take it personally when you don't get it.
No, absolutely. Well, I think we'll wrap up. First off, I just want to say, Jason, thank you so much for coming on the show, and I just wanted to say, from my perspective, your performance in season 6 of Orange is the New Black is absolutely fantastic. So congratulations on all the reception so far that the show is getting. So the floor is yours. Where can people follow you on social media? Any closing remarks? It's your time now.
Well, my Twitter is at Altman Jason, and my Instagram isjaltman25. Thank you so much for having me. It's just been a thrill I have had the opportunity to speak with you and other entertainment reporters about this role. I think, it's only been 4 episodes so far. Hopefully it'll be more because of the way the storyline goes. Yep. In the 7th season, which we're not sure if it's the final season or not, but as of now, that's all Netflix has signed up for. But it's really an honor to be part of Orange is the New Black and have this affecting role in the storyline that's going on with his character and Tasty and Caputo and all the others. But I hope you enjoy it, and thanks again for having me on.
No problem. Well, we wish you all the best, and absolutely, people, you need to watch season. Well, if you haven't watched Orange is the New Black, it's just one of those shows. So many characters, so many storylines, amazing flashbacks. You need to watch it on Netflix. It's worth the watch. We'd like to thank Jason for coming on the show to talk about his character Herrmann. YouTube.com/popternative for other episodes, for the video versions, audio versions, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen to podcasts. Until next time, this is Jason Altman and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.